She looked like a doll. I had to check. That smile wasn't hers. Dad said forget, but I remembered everything. Chio begs the glass. It came for him. We ask Four Eyes how. If the dead you loved were hidden behind satin and flowers, would you dare peel back the lie? The hall smelled sweet and heavy, lilies flooding the air until breathing hurt. I was a child when my aunt died, too young to be wise. Her portrait smiled while the real her lay below, sealed away. They angled the coffin so no one could see her face, as if a curtain could hush a rumor. Grief breeds gossip. The mourners leaned together, hissing about flesh torn and bone ground, their breath warm with tea and fear. I stood in a borrowed suit, pulse drumming in my ears, fingers slick with sweat. I told myself she was not gone, not until I checked. My hand found the handle, trembling, and the hinge groaned like an old jaw. Piddles rustled, the attendant's shadow shifted, yet I kept lifting. Curiosity cut deeper than shame. Behind the lid, flowers framed a face that no longer belonged to the living. One eye bulged, the other narrowed to a slit like a mask. The nose had collapsed into twin caves, glossy and black. Teeth jutted like broken stones, and a long tongue hung heavy, dark and slick. The perfume of lilies could not bury the meat-sour whisper of rot. Hair spilled into the wreath, a shroud of black swallowed by white chrysanthemums. The robe crossed the throat, neat and ceremonial, and the mouth gaped like a wound that refused to close. My pupils blew wide, breath snagging as bile rose, and my hand shook so hard the lid tapped the frame. It was not hungry, yet it looked like hunger itself, an abomination dressed for goodbye. Could you look away, or would you stare until it stared back? If the new year grinned at you with plastic cheer, would you smell the rot under the ribbon? Glass hums. Cathode light crawls across old screens. 9 down, a voice blesses the city, then twists the knife. It whispers about the end of humankind foretold for 1999, and asks how you will spend it. Scarves brush bark. A kid rides high on a parent's shoulders. Paper notices flutter. Normal life parades past an omen hiding in plain letters. Brick walls hold their breath. Stale coffee stings the air. Clean edges of prints catch the light. 2 hunters pick through images like bones, careful not to cut their tongues. The writer slides a glossy couple across the table. He refuses. Faces mean witnesses. She offers a fountain shot. He shakes his head. Landmarks betray you. Safety has a smell here, like cold ink and money worrying itself thin. He keeps his voice flat so nerves do not catch fire. A seaside print waits. Pale hands reach from dark water toward sand. Hope flickers in her throat. He sips. Breath fogs the rim. No.
Hirataka Asama, 38, makes a living seeing what ruins lives. He kills the risk with one word and lets the silence bleed. New office. New stack. The writer counts spirit photos like coins and swears it will not fill her little column. He says that is all she gets. She promises his name stays buried. Her smile tries to be warm, but it feels like a glove over a knife. She pivots fast, asks him to come hunt material. The words sixth sense slip out like bait. His temple jumps. A warning growls behind his eyes. Over coffee, he draws a hard line. He is a photographer, nothing else. She grins, flips a print like a card, hungry to deal him in. Behind her pitch, the year swells like a drum. Nostradamus thunders through cheap paper. End of the world, 1999. Time to cash in, she says. The act cracks. She admits the joke. An occult writer who cannot feel a damn thing. He already knew, which is why his heartbeat never changes. He thanks her for the meal, leaves the booth colder than before. Storm is coming. They both smell it, even if she will not feel it. This has been Himura speaking. Do not be sad, and smile more often. Could you survive a mirror that remembers every face it swallows? The sign reads monthly bazaar, but the real horror sits at a desk. Paper towers lean like tombstones. Fluorescents buzz like trapped insects. Toner stings the air. Shioi, the rookie, grinds his teeth, fingers nicked by paper cuts, and files another stack. A suit drops fresh weight onto his island of clutter. Organize these, he says. tossing scraps to a dog. The rookie flinches, throat sand dry, eyes flicking from pile to pile, pulse ticking in his neck. The suit chuckles, tells youngsters to get experience. Shioi smiles with all his teeth and none of his warmth. A bead of sweat crawls behind his ear. The chair screeches. He snaps, his voice cutting the stale air. Please do it yourself. He swallows the backlash with the taste of toner. Damn it, he hisses between clenched molars. He vows to get big and ditch this ink-stained rag like a bloodied bandage. To do that, he needs a scoop sharp enough to cut.
Envelopes spill like molted skin across the desk. Paper flutters in a restless flock, dust peppering his tongue. His fingers move in a trance, flipping and sifting, hunting the one letter that bites back. A photograph surfaces like something dredged from a drained bath. A vanity with 3 mirrors, hinges like joints. The glass stares from 3 cold angles. The letter whispers about an antique shop and a daughter who adored the piece, harmless at first. Then the rooms cool without wind. Breath fogs in summer. Footsteps circle the bed, and faces appear where no one stands. The writer swears the 3-way mirror births things that do not belong.
Ah, he breathes. It is not surprise, it is appetite. The rookie smells a story and something else, iron under rain. He meets Hirotaka over lukewarm coffee, waves the prints. Hirotaka selects one and asks when it was taken.
During an antique special, Hirotaka mutters, his fingers tight on the cup.
They study 2 shots of the same vanity. One is clean, the other grows a woman where no woman stood. Her face stretches in the glass, eyes long and wrong, mouth smudged like wet ash, and their breathing thins until silence presses on their ribs. Days pass, the trail hardens into an address. A quiet block waits in daylight, birds chattering, asphalt radiating heat. The building stands like a patient witness. The mirror, if it breathes, is inside. Himura's voice slides through the speaker, calm as a morgue drawer. Do not be sad. Smile more often. The words scrape the room, too clean for the chill they leave behind. When a mirror passes from house to house, who hunts whom? Could you trust your memory when the glass remembers you better? In a cluttered room, the archivist goes still, the phone cord pulled tight. The calendar ticks like a small hammer. Dust lifts with each breath. Across the line, the reporter spreads a photograph sent by a stranger on the desk and says, "It is the same dresser you passed to me. Do you remember anything?" He kneads at the fog in his skull, muttering about that thing, trying to hand the job back to the ghost inside the picture. "Wouldn't it be faster to ask the sender?" She snaps, "I already did." Dust shivers around her like a waking nest. Daylight flattens a quiet block. The reporter calls to the house, asking for an interview. She reminds the occupant they begged for help. Only the door answers, a narrow pane of wired glass. From the dark, a woman's eye quivers, rimmed with salt. "My daughter fell ill," she breathes. "We threw away that mirror. Leave." The gap shrinks, her voice scraping like a spoon on bone. The latch bites, final and smug. The reporter hisses a curse, her jaw clenched so hard her molars ache. Cold air needles her cheeks like ridicule. She turns to go and stops. Along the wall vents, bodies gleam, moths and beetles, a centipede twisted like punctuation. Chitin litters the concrete like spilled teeth, brittle under her heel. A gasp crawls up her throat. "Insect carcasses," she whispers, fighting the sweet stink of rot that rises from the vents. It is deep winter. Things should sleep, not die in piles. She tracks the trail to a familiar address, the house that called. Curtains smother the rooms, no mirrors flash back, the windows look blind. How does she turn this around without a reflection to bait? Inside, behind the curtain, something waits where breath should be. Skin pitted, eyes wide like empty wells, stitches ride its cheek like dead worms. It lies patient, counting heartbeats that are not its own, listening for shoes at the threshold. Would you step in, knowing the glass might not be the hungriest thing here? What would you trade to survive a hungry mirror, your ethics or your name? On the phone, the skeptic hears greed purr. The reporter calls the case interesting, begging for the dresser's story. A soft laugh clings to the mouthpiece, and curiosity scratches at the glass until it bleeds. The reporter pitches a headline about a haunted mirror and a cursed family. The skeptic's breath roughens, sweat prickling like ice along his neck. "Vile," he spits. The reporter calls it intriguing, smile refusing to die. The skeptic draws a line, threatens to buy back the photo, fingers tight enough to crumple the edge. Paper rustles, and that smile pinches into a bitten grunt. An idea clicks like a bulb in a dead room. The reporter softens the voice and asks for a favor instead. "No article for now. Let me tag along. Keep the trail warm." They stop before a tiled storefront at noon, signboards glaring like teeth. The reporter beams and calls it today's hunting ground.
"Looking forward to working together," the reporter adds, while the skeptic shoulders a case and watches the windows breathe.
The warning lands hard. No article. Not from this visit.
"Of course," the reporter agrees, bargaining for a mountain of photos. The skeptic's jaw grinds, a low growl caged behind closed teeth, and trust feels thin as old glass. Inside, dust tastes sweet and stale, and the wood creaks with old breath. Dolls stare, beads sway. The reporter swears this place hoards exactly their kind of prize. The skeptic nods once, eyes sweeping that cluttered sea, fingertips tingling with a cautious itch.
"Set up early," the reporter orders, already dialing for permission. "Fine," comes the flat answer. Light blooms from an umbrella, cold and clinical. The skeptic studies the shelves and admits some pieces are genuine, quiet with honest years. A carved figure watches. A doll in kimono keeps her mouth shut, and frames mourn strangers. Yet every relic stays trapped in human heat. No real bite, only old ache, the grudges and resentments of normal people. Nothing that slips the leash. At the counter, the reporter calls out, voice bright as a coin. The skeptic turns, eyes hard, and points like a knife. "You lied to me," he growls, dragging the mirror into the light. The reporter tilts a grin, tongue peeking, playing dumb. "What are you talking about?" The shopkeeper squints at the tall cabinet. Says he got it recently. Drawers jam and stay shut. Age alone adds nothing. The reporter circles, clipboard ready, eyes on the wood that drinks light. Air turns wet. Sweat beads and crawls down a brow. A pulse thuds in the ears, stubborn and loud. Something waits behind the silvered skin. A hand rises toward the glass. In the reflection, a woman blooms like rot, eyes hollow, lips collapsing into a sunken sneer. The mirror frames her like a coffin lid, patient and hungry. Her stare wants to devour the room. Recognition bites. "So it shows up here as well," the skeptic mutters, as if it migrates like disease. A voice leaks from the glass, flat and wrong. "This has been Himura speaking. Do not be sad. Smile more often. Could a word kill you more cleanly than a knife?" He clamps a hand over his mouth, knuckles whitening, sweat beads creeping down his jaw. His breath stutters. The room reeks of damp paper and old rot. The reporter in a checkered vest grins at the tall dresser, asks to take it. He wants trouble-wearing wood, a dare disguised as furniture. The skeptic's pulse trips like a faulty metronome. Outside, brick lungs hold stale breath. Inside, a playful tap knocks dust from the top. He calls it an examination of a haunted mirror and promises disaster. Mr. Asama snaps about carrying it by hand. The reporter laughs that occult journalism runs on dumb luck and dumber risks. He crouches by the drawers, asks how nasty it is really. They tilt the carcass, squint along the edge. A date sleeps in the grain. February 6th, 1995. The year tastes like iron on the tongue. A fingertip combs the scratches, catches shallow characters. Breath thins. The reporter studies them, mouth barely moving. "Purple," he mutters. The word sits cold, like a pill. On the table, a sealed blade sleeps under a charm. "Purple mirror," the reporter prods. "Really?" The skeptic repeats it, testing the taste of the phrase. He explains the legend with a crooked smile. "Remember those words when you become an adult, and the mirror curses you. You die." Simple. Too simple. In the aisle, boxes lean like eavesdroppers. He asks if words can kill the ones who know them. The skeptic repeats it, letting the idea scrape his throat. He goes still, eyes half-lidded. "No matter how evil the spirit, it needs a door," he says. Break the condition, and you live. That is the rule. Find the hinge, snap it, and walk away. Fail, and it will devour you. If a mirror remembered every face, how long before it hates us? Asama breathes out a creed. The dead cannot harm the living.
He says it like a promise, while the air tastes like dust and old rain. Shioi, the chatterbox, hums through a grin, poking at the quiet. He asks what is possessing the glass, as if he wants it to answer with teeth. Asama's gaze tightens. The frame sweats tar, and a black handprint stains the right like a threat. Small faces bloom in the dark, too many to count, and every one of them smiles. Cold prickles his neck as the lights hum like insects. Shioi leans in, blind to the nest, urging him to ask how they died. Asama's jaw hardens, his voice goes blade cold. Respect the dead, he warns, or those smiles will turn and make you pay. Even abominations need a door, and you do not kick at hinges unless you want them to open.
Later, Shioi meets his own eyes in the glass and shrugs off the sting. Say what you want, he mutters. It is still my job, and I will see it through.
Shelves of house magazines parade by like masks with painted laughs. Rumor dresses as comedy, ink that never bled for truth. He thinks most of them write without lifting their backs, and the thought sours his mouth.
He squares his shoulders and feeds the ember. He swears he will prove he can write something that bites and breathes. He will not sink into their softness.
A quiet man watches from the aisle, eyes measuring like a hawk over a field. Maybe a door, maybe a snare. Either way, Shioi keeps walking.
Back in the workroom, Asama tempers him with a warning. Dedication is fine. Obsession gets people killed.
Shioi laughs it off, promises no trouble, and the brightness in his voice rings a little false. He rolls his sleeves, passes the photo work to Asama. He paid for this box himself, so the unveiling should land with weight. The metal smells like old pennies. A dull clunk bites the latch, hard and stubborn. The bar refuses to give. His smile twitches. That sound says no, and it says it with hunger. He presses his breath to the glass and pulls. It does not open. The seam holds like clenched teeth, and behind it, silence grins like a child. Could you keep your voice respectful with those smiles watching from the dark, or would you grin back and invite them in? How long would you beg a locked mouth to open before it bites back? Shioi teases the seam with a fingernail. Hirotaka rattles the handles until metal complains. The cabinet clicks, refuses. Sweat beads at their temples, patience thins, and the old warning crawls up their spines. Those drawers do not open, not for anyone.
Shioi weighs the silence, then mutters about a saw. Hirotaka winces, jaw tight, and nods anyway.
Splinters are cheaper than ghosts, he tells himself. As a last resort, fine. Faces stiffen, lungs sting from the held breath. The cabinet just stares back, a polite coffin pretending to be furniture. Shioi smiles like a split wound, pupils blown wide, teeth slick with an oily stain. He wonders what is inside. Curiosity grows fangs. The limp classmate drapes across his shoulder, soft weight, one step from being meat. Across the room, the older man clocks the truth and goes cold. His chest forgets air, knuckles blanch, and his gaze refuses to blink.
Hirotaka snaps and yanks Shioi by the vest. Fingers dig in. Shioi jerks, hissing, "Why?" like a cornered cat. Hirotaka warns, "That drawer is bad. Open it, and the day ends ugly."
His voice trembles, but his grip holds.
Shioi bears a hungry grin. "That drawer," he purrs, like he just heard a secret invitation.
He drags the top handle, and the wood fights, then slides. He laughs about the goods waiting inside. Hunger treats warnings like seasoning. A hand shoots forward, fast enough to bruise the air. Moth. A hard case slams into glass and the world explodes into knives. Shards whip like hail. Bodies lurch. Someone shields the kid. Silence blooms. The older man tastes iron on his tongue and fear along his gums. He steadies his fist near his lips. The short-haired one points, voice sharp as a blade. Orders cut through the ringing. Move. Now. Outside, brick and windows pretend to be safe, while a scream leaks from inside. The building listens, and it does not care. Broom bristles herd glittering teeth of glass into dull piles. Hirotaka mutters he has never screwed up a job like this. Shioi shrugs. The drawers never opened, and he jokes that a mirror might have cursed Mr. Asama.
Mid trash bags and bone-deep fatigue, Shioi offers money. Asama refuses. Cash does not disinfect dread, it just buys thicker trash bags. Shioi tilts his head. What spooked you that badly? The room waits for an answer.
Asama stares into the middle distance, hollowed out. Sweat dries and resolve sets. If something looked back from that glass, he felt it breathe.
If a mirror laughed when you touched it, would you keep pulling, or would you run and let your curiosity rot? Your fingertips would go numb on the cold glass, breath fogging its skin. The grin did not blink. It stretched, like a cut learning to smile.
Asama watched the rich kid reach for the handle, knuckles whitening, jaw set. The glass answered with teeth. Not a reflection, a damn invitation. As he tugged, the bite deepened, savoring his struggle.
The rich kid crouched with a tool, eager to carve into the stuck wood. Asama cut him off with a rasped, "Stop." Metal rose on his tongue, the taste of warning. Push the wood, and the thing would push back.
Asama told them the hard truth. The mirror had a previous owner. They opened the drawers anyway. Glass broke like a verdict, shards hanging in a silent storm, the air ticking with tiny cuts. 3 girls stood by the sliding doors, pretending to be ordinary. One face betrayed them, an eye fat with bruised blood, revealed by a floating blade of glass. Secrets do not stay buried when you pry. Chio knelt before the old wood, knees stinging on tatami, breath fogging the cold surface. The mirror smelled of oil, damp mold, and someone else, a skin scent that did not belong. Her mother drifted in with linens, a soft smile trying to tame the air, teasing that Chio loved that relic despite its age. Chio swallowed and called to her mother, soft as a confession, throat clicking in the hush. Silence stretched, heavy as wet cloth. The air pressed against their ears. Her mother flinched, like she heard footsteps inside the frame. Night settled over the house like a lid. The father walked the corridor, bare feet whispering across cold boards. A muffled murmur bled through a door, steady and wrong. He eased it open and called her name. The dark answered with Chio's breathing. She sat awake on the tatami, pupils blown wide, fingers dimpling the reed mat, eyes fixed on the cabinet's shadow as if waiting for a cue. He asked what she was doing at this hour, warned her not to stay up all night. He tried to sound calm. He failed. The mirror was not in sight, yet its promise lingered, like cold fingers on the back of the neck. You hear it too, do not you? That smiling edge in the dark, begging to be opened. I know how this ends when people test hungry objects. They always feed them. Could you survive? If the thing in the glass called you mother, would you answer or run until your lungs burned? Chio whispers she was talking, but her eyes stay pinned to the vanity. 4 Eyes asks with whom. The mirror answers by multiplying her finger, one point becoming many, cold reflections pricking like needles. The wood smells of old powder, and the glass breathes back frost. At the table, the cat thumps its tail while the parents trade nerves for jokes. He mutters that she imagined it, blaming those pulp rags full of the bizarre. She grunts through her nose, then wonders about sending a letter, a reporter, a story. Oh, please. He groans, but his hand trembles on the cup.
Apron on, he takes the call and agrees to the visit.
Miss Inubusaki,
he repeats, surprised anyone believed them. The house feels smaller once a stranger has a name.
Mother leans in, sweet as syrup, asking about the drawing. Bold strokes pulse across torn paper, wet ink slick as blood on tile. Not their usual characters, yet they shape her name into something older, something like Purple Crossing, whispered through teeth. Mother frowns and says that is not how her name is written. Chio does not look up. The brush squeaks. She says, Mother gave it, not Mommy. Each word cold as porcelain. Whose hands taught that difference? At the vanity, the girl murmurs that she was promised a lesson, that reading will come if she writes it perfectly. The laugh dies in the mother's throat. 4 Eyes wonders if the mirror owns that title now, if Mother lives behind the glass. The air tastes like dust and worry. Night swallows the roof, a thin crescent carving the clouds. Chio sleeps, one cheek damp against the pillow. Her name stretches along the floorboards, a whisper like silk under a door. Her eyelid twitches, and the room tilts. A soft call for the girl drifts from the hall, but she is busy. The cap pops. The tube opens, and ritual spills out like breath. Yes, yes, she tells the darkness. She can write it now. Something reaches, long and wrong, stroking her hair, draping her shoulders, curling from the side. It praises, and in a borrowed voice invites the mother closer, saying the girl wants to see her too. That smile is not meant for living mouths. A single finger commands the room, pointing down, not a suggestion, an order. The girl hesitates, then tilts her gaze to the drawers as if hearing a lesson. She answers the unseen with, "I know," steadying her breath. Wood sighs as the handle gives, revealing a black so thick it swallows the light. A pale cross scratched deep. Again she answers, "I know," while older hands hover above, and another brushes close. The knight leans in to listen. "If the dark asked for your name, would you offer it? Or lie and keep your skin?" Ink blooms like bruises while hair snarls across the page. Vertebrae like beads scatter, and a severed finger waits like a tithe. A voice scrapes through the room, broken words demanding identity, like teeth counting you before a meal. The hardliner looms over the bed, jaw clenched, eyes flat and mean as hell. Long strands on the pillow tremble as the patient grips a throbbing scalp. Tiny cuts weep into the sheet. He lets a single laugh crack the air, dry and cruel. Silence pulls tight, thin as wire, biting at the ears. The room holds its breath like prey beneath a hawk. Recognition flickers across his face. He starts to say, "This is," but the rest curdles on his tongue. Something old steps closer. The lair yawns above, and a larval abomination uncoils, ringed mouth wet with hunger, tiny legs ticking against netted walls. Human arms bloom from its bulk and reach around him, as if inviting a hug that ends in blood. Cocoons sway and whisper, faces watching like coins sunk in tar. He touches his temple, sweat cold, while the smell of rot and damp earth floods his mouth.
Could you hold your ground while a thing like that learned your name? Or would you run and let it devour someone else?
He slams back into his body, breath ragged, chest thudding like a kicked door. Cold sweat threads down his temples, and the room swims. His fingers dig into the sheets, knuckles pale. His palm opens, revealing a hard, faceted shard that drinks the light. It is cold, heavier than it looks, and it hums against his skin. Egg tooth, scale, or a broken prayer, a trophy stolen from a flesh-eater. The light hums overhead. The calendar and shelves blur, and the world feels too clean for what he holds. He raises the shard like proof or bait, unsure which will kill faster, the truth inside it or the thing that wants it back. Which truth would you choose? Imagine a curse that waits, patient as mold in the lungs, until you grow up. Could you forget the words that doom you? He cannot. The shard drinks the light, cold as a morgue tag, slick with breath. His pulse hammers against it, a trap knock from the other side. She grins as she tells it, the reporter with iron nerves. If you remember the words purple mirror, as an adult, the curse kills you. Laugh if you want. Belief does not matter to a noose. Memory does. He studies the shard at his chest, breath shallow. Sweat beads at his temple and stings his eye. His grip tightens until tendons creak. He whispers denial, starving for logic. That story of hers cannot be true, yet his heart races faster. Cross glossy pages. A feature screams that phrase in loud ink. Coffee goes cold beside it, bitter and oily. She nudges him for a reaction. He wonders how many readers they will feed to the thing. Asama skims her draft, skeptic eyes for once impressed. He says it is good, better scarred by mistakes. She blinks, sweat beading, and grumbles that help should follow criticism. He slouches deeper, unreadable. He leans in, voice low, asks about dreams after that night. The question lands heavy. She repeats it, then shrugs. No, not really. Silence stretches while a single bead of sweat tracks down her jaw. Bitter coffee climbs his tongue. Good, he says, shelving a loaded worry. Later, he pauses and asks where they hunt next. His breath fogs the air. The reporter smiles, praising his pull, knowing doors open when Stoneface knocks. He bristles at the flattery. On the calendar, 1999, January, the days already circled like bite marks. Time hunts them.
She urges him not to say it. He answers anyway. I am not going. He repeats it, harder, building a wall of no.
Silence widens, tasting of metal and dust. The shard still waits. Memory keeps breathing. He remembers Himura's old sign-off. Smile more often. It sounds like a joke at a funeral. Could you survive a name that crawls under your skin? In July of 2023, time hangs like meat on a hook. The mountains sink into silence, and the road tightens around Asama. A polite voice asks about the mirror, the one that stains childhood purple. A carved plaque names the place, as if paint could leash a curse. The reporter, 4 eyes, lifts her notepad. Her knuckles whiten, sweat cool against her temple. She asks if it was truly the purple mirror. He does not know if it matches her rumor. He knows what he saw, a haunted mirror, not gossip. A predator with glass for skin. His fingers tap the table, a cold little heartbeat in wood. 2 conditions for capture. Be a child and acknowledge the new name that slides into you. Asama calls it a ritual. The mirror assigns a name, christening you. Accept it, and the creature takes you in as its own child, family by hunger. That name is not harmless ink. It acts like a word that kills those who know it. Knowledge becomes a blade you grip by the edge. 4 eyes falters. The glass shivers on the table. She reminds him he once laughed off curses. He answers flat. Spirits do not have that kind of power. Beyond the mirror, the abomination watched. Segments studded with eyes, a vast hand clutching doll bodies. Chitons scraped like teeth. The room smelled of sweet rot. It played house, a grotesque rehearsal of love, hungry to keep its toys. Fortunately, it did not invite either of them to play. Relief tastes thin, like old tea. 4 eyes forces a laugh that dies quick. Did that nonsense really happen? The name lingers in the glass, patient as mold. If it whispers to you, do not answer. If the world crawled with predators you cannot see, how long would you last? Asama does not blink. He says it lives everywhere, tucked into the blind spots you trust. 4 eyes swallows hard. The air thins, like a room that still remembers a scream. Sweat slides behind his lenses, cold as a blade. He reaches for his voice, ragged, but Asama keeps going. Questions hit like nails in a coffin lid. Why dig up a Nobosaki now, and who is she to you? 4 eyes tries to speak, his tongue stuck. His glasses fog, a tremor rides his jaw. He finally lets a shard slip. She, the single syllable quivering, cutting him on the way out. They whisper she is their aunt. The smile in memory is warm, yet the body lies among flowers that smell of sweet rot and incense. Skin looks waxed, heavy beneath the blooms. Petals brush her lashes, quiet as snowfall. Death makes the room polite and merciless. They want to know why she died like that. The words land steady, not loud, iron under the breath. Their knuckles blanch around a truth they refuse to drop. Asama studies the kid, sees the cut of resolve, and gives one slow nod. Here is the dossier of rot, neat as a catalog and twice as cruel. A female bagworm squats like a false queen, soft flesh crowned with human hair. Child-sized cases hang and sway, little faces pressed into silk, mouths quiet, eyes learning hunger. Wood sighs as a long-haired child shoulders a cabinet door, crawling out like a wet moth. A taped memo whispers about a mirror monster the aunt and Mr. Asama survived. The mirror was smashed, yet other windows remain, waiting like open mouths in the dark. A rule scrawled in a careful hand warns that adults are not invited. You know what that means. This is Himura speaking. Do not be sad, smile more often.
Would you pry open a family's silence if the truth cuts back? Frames stare with glassy eyes, dust clings to the edges, and the air tastes old, like a room that forgot how to breathe. The old man studies the kid, 4 eyes, calm and skeptical. Certain blood should know more than any stranger. 4 eyes swallows, his voice thin, and admits his mother despises the aunt. The grandparents sealed their lips, teaching the house to live like she never existed. Suspicion sharpens, books looming like witnesses, as he asks why push against a wall built by blood. Leather sighs under the kid, sweat prickles beneath the frames, and the answer sticks in his throat. Memory opens.
The aunt spins impossible worlds, and the small listener leans closer, pupils blown wide. The tales sound absurd, yet excitement hammers in his chest like a second heart. She kept fragments of spacecraft, bones from unknown creatures, and a ring that burned cold against the skin. Spirit photographs waited too, trapping what the eye refused to name. Daylight returns with ink and paper. Four Eyes grips the prints and knows the hand behind them. The careful fear in each frame belongs to Mr. Asama. He liked her, he admits, quiet as a bruise. That is why he needs the truth, why she died, and what dragged her to that cold end. A card lands between them, thick stock with a National Department seal, Monday, November 20th, pressed like a warrant. Did he become her kind of writer just to follow her shadow? Maybe that was part of it. She kept people at arm's length, no true friends, no open doors, and every lead dies before it breathes. Friends. The word hangs heavy as old dust. The kid startles, breath-catching, while a thin volume slides free from the shelf with a soft whisper. She was peculiar, the old man says, but he called her a friend, and the word does not tremble. This has been Himura speaking. Do not be sad and smile more often. Tell me, if the forest held its winter breath, would you notice what wakes beneath it? In 1999, late January, life chirped like a cracked metronome, small throats stitching sound into the iron cold. A single blade of grass trembled under a hungry insect. A web waited with patient math. A pale larva clung to stone, as if the earth might shrug it off. At the field edge, a weathered idol wore many faces, each serene, each blind. Light erupted beside it, sharp and white, a single cruel blink. Birds snapped into silence. The air tasted of metal and ozone, like a storm swallowing its own name. Could you survive a god that wakes by accident? The writer and the lensman stepped onto old temple ground, chasing a feature about grotesque icons. Bare branches scraped the sky like nails on bone. He raised the camera, muttering about strange sculptures. She called them perfect for the piece, her breath fogging, amused. History whispered of blended faiths, old gods stitched to new prayers. Stone faces crowded together, cracked lips damp. Inside the statue, something moved wetly, a soft squeeze you feel in your molars. Shail teased that she had not expected him to show. He grunted that he came for serious work, pride tucked behind his collar. He noticed she had slipped inside before him. She smiled like a lock meeting the right key, about to explain. A voice cracked the cold, calling her name with relief and urgency. A robed figure waved from the gate, eyes kind, cheeks wind-touched. Shail blinked, then said her name, Manako, surprise ripening into a grin that seemed to warm the stones. They sat beneath a bare tree and stitched years into minutes. The convert thanked them for coming. Shail confessed she never imagined a temple would claim her. She introduced her partner, the lensman, Mr. Asama, who offered a quiet hello, careful and polite. She smiled with her eyes and made it clear. The Daoranji temple had raised her into vows. She said, "Call me Nandu." Inside the threshold, Nandu bowed them in, warmth meeting winter. She promised to fetch the chief priest, steps light, duty sharper than the chill. The lensman smirked that the writer actually had friends. She shot back that he was rude, yet her eyes softened, the joke landing without splinters. In a place like this, laughter feels like trespass. Shail let memory breathe. Manako had been a classmate, the voice that answered when she called, the one who opened doors. Her kindness hurt the way frost bites a brittle petal. No wonder Faith kept her. The Eves watched like a patient beast, wood old enough to remember older sins. Something here listens when names are spoken. Something here answers. You know my voice, Himura. If you are smiling, stop. In places like this, a smile invites the wrong thing closer. If kindness led you into a lonely sanctuary, would you trust walls that remember older sins? The host welcomes them, a warm voice in cold wood. The temple breathes with emptiness, only two caretakers, and a silence that listens. A small body hangs from a silk thread by the post, swaying like bait. A quiet one studies it, eyes dull from sleepless miles, tracking the delicate shiver in the strand. He finally speaks, low and flat. There is a bug on you. The words land like a pin on bare skin. Shail jerks, hands hovering uselessly, cold sweat beating along the hairline. The creature blooms in the mind, all eyes and hair and hunger. Breath scrapes the throat. "Please, get it off," Shial begs, voice thin as filament. Gloved fingers approach with monk calm, not to crush, but to cradle. Nandu lifts the tiny trespasser away, as if saving a drowning child. Shial sags, air finally entering their lungs. The tired one murmurs thanks for the kindness. Nandu only nods. "We are within a temple," he says. "All life gets shelter here." Shial smiles with a leftover tremble. "You have not changed at all." Nandu answers with a small laugh. "I was built for this quiet duty." They cross the threshold where the air cools and the light thins. The guide names the heart of Duarangi, the principal object of worship. Someone inhales sharply, as though the dark pressed a hand to their chest. It waits on a lotus, crowned with serene faces, a forest of hands lifted in vows. Bronze breathes incense and age. Beauty stares through you until unease prickles the skin. Shial whispers, "A figure of Buddha," awe breaking on each word. The chief priest gives her name, Danta Kannon. Shial locks up, shoulders tight, pupils bright. The priest greets them with an apologetic smile, then speaks of Shinto-Buddhist synthesis and an older guardian deity. The statue carries that lineage in every limb. Shial blushes with wonder, whispering "wow" like a prayer. The chief priest, Himura, falls quiet, the hush settling like dust. If a temple smiled at you with many faces, would you smile back or run? Shial flashes a bright grin, pinning the skeptic in place. Her request for confirmation sounds gentle, a velvet sheath hiding a knife. Irotaka stiffens, a cold bead sliding down his cheek. His jaw hangs, his throat works, caught between yes and self-preservation. They drift along tatami that whisper underfoot, incense clinging thick in the throat. The man in the puffy jacket mutters useless syllables, trying to buy time. Above them, the many-faced guardian watches, serene, judgmental, endless. His gaze drops, breath thins, sweat pools at his temple. Silence answers for him. Nandu notices the tremor in the air and asks if something is bothering him. The question hangs like damp cloth. Hirotaka stalls, shoulders sagging, pulse pounding in his ears, tongue dry. He finally exhales it, wondering if something crouches behind all this polished calm. The hooded one lifts wide eyes, pupils drinking the light, a smile that never reaches the eyes. The room tightens. Nandu's voice turns to silk as he asks why he would think that. The deflection scrapes like a dull blade. He retreats fast, apologies spilling out as if words could mop up dread. His spine bows, his gaze drops. Nandu shifts focus with a soft call, summoning Shial like a match struck in a cellar. "Do you feel anything, little spark?" The tease lands playful, yet the air tastes metallic. Shial blinks, caught between curiosity and static crawling over her skin. Her answer fumbles, a breathy that fogs the edge of a smile. The chief priest approves with a knowing nod. Beyond this hall lies the original shrine, a man-made grotto carved into the cliff and sealed to the public. "It is dangerous," he warns. Stone sweats there, and darkness pools in the seams. Shial lights up, eyes sparkling like a kid who smells rain. The priest asks if she is interested. She does not hesitate, very interested. The gatekeepers trade a look only insiders use. Nandu lets a soft laugh escape, promising a tour someday. The deity looms with many arms, every palm a vow, every face a watcher. Could you walk into that mouth of stone and come back smiling? How long could you stand in a forest that forgets to breathe? The sky clenches its jaw. The earth holds its breath. The quiet gnaws at him. Strange and wrong. Frost bites his lungs, his breath ghosting out. Forests and mountains are never this quiet, he thinks, palms prickling. A soft voice hooks him by name. Mr. Asama. The hooded guide smokes, the sweetness turning sour in the cold. She praises his shots, asks if the place feels calm. His fingers claw the strap, knuckles blanching. Calm is a word that smells like bait. In the grass, red shells tick against the blades. Tiny lungs pump. Life crowds the cracks. Countless little hearts drumming like distant rain rehearsing its kill. A bead of sweat goes cold on his temple. A dragonfly clings to a dead twig, glassy wings still. "Too many insects for winter," he whispers. "Nature is stacking the deck." She studies the air, calls it lively, almost humming. A storm will come soon, sunlight shines, brittle as glass, and he almost laughs at the timing. Under the temple's ribs, the small ones gather. Instinct drives them to shelter before the sky opens and roars. They read a barometer written in their bones. "Do not leave," she warns, her voice gentle as a blade. The slopes here slip when rain fattens the soil. Landslide. His pupils blow wide, his throat tastes of clay. Shael already planned to stay the night. The offer hangs warm in the cold.
Is that fine with you, Mr. Osama, or will pride drag you downhill?
The air snaps. A white scar splits the sky, and thunder kicks his ribs. The storm answers for him. This has been Himura speaking. Do not be sad, and smile more often.
If a temple shields you from winter, what do you owe it? Discipline or desire? Tatami fiber sighs beneath her knees, straw and dust rising faint as breath. The air needles their skin, cold enough to bite the gums. She lifts a slick can, condensation greasing her fingers, smirks toward the dark doorway, and teases the straight arrow for staying the night. He hesitates, jaw tight, pride pinned under the storm like a boot on a throat. He snaps about sacred ground and rules, words clipped, breath white in the gloom. Smoke clings to him anyway, tar and ash threading his hair, little ghosts curling near his ear. She laughs low, says a drink oils the pen. Winter keeps it cold, no cooler needed. Perfect logic for a fool. He pinches the bridge of his nose, temples throbbing, and mutters that she brought booze to a coverage site. Idiot, he says without raising his voice. She softens, voice thinned by the chill, says it is not about rules. She wanted to crack these open with Monaco, but the heavy drinker refused, and that refusal scratches like sand, a small, steady wrongness under the skin. Crawls into her cheeks. Her pen taps a nervous metronome, fingertips tingling, pupils wide as she loses focus for a breath. She pivots, asks the stickler how he noticed the hidden shrine. He hates the phrase spirit sense. He presses a fist to his chest and chooses another word. Pressure. Not a whisper, not a chill. A weight pushing at his ribs. Something peered from behind the statue, careful as a knife sliding from cloth. There were eyes, too many to count. The room feels crowded, though no bodies move. Old stone breathes dust and old incense, dry and bitter. Each unseen glance hooks skin like fishhooks, tugging until the hairs rise. Could you keep writing while a deity watched, or would your hands tremble, sweat bead cold at your spine, ink spill like blood? She nods like a teacher, says he felt the original guardian, and of course it lingers. The old watcher never left, patient, hungry for notice. She presses a cold can into his hand, metal biting his palm, casual as sin. He takes a long pull to wet a dry throat. Bitter grain hits hard, burns down, and his stomach knots. He spits a spray, wipes his mouth with the back of his hand, and glares. Did you just hand me beer in a temple? She shrugs, smug and small, says he should have noticed the weight when he picked it up. He huffs, caught between a curse and a laugh, pupils dilating as if the room dimmed, and the eyes feel closer again. The storm claws at the eaves, the hall ticking with rain. Somewhere behind the altar, something shifts, soft as wet cloth. The candles do not flicker, yet the shadow thickens, stretching toward their ankles. A temple forgives many sins, but it never forgets a debt. Could you still call this shelter, or is it bait? Xiao lifts a glass like a bribe, calls it a rare chance, just a glass, nothing more. Hirotaka, the skeptic, brings the cup close, deadpan, says the work is done anyway. He blames the storm, jaw tight, the weather has locked them in this wooden box. Rain bars the windows like iron. When the rain cages you, do you drink or pray? Outside, water chews the roof, a steady grind that drowns thought. Tiles clatter under relentless weight. Gutters gag. The whole house hisses like a cornered beast, and the air smells of wet dust and rot. She leans on the counter, eyes half closed, breath feathering the rim. The cans rattle faintly, metal tasting stale air. A rustle kisses the lattice, light at first, like wet paper breathing. Her skin prickles, fingers tighten on the counter, pupils blown wide as the sound repeats, closer, patient.
Under the eaves, tiny jaws test the dark. Carapaces knock, wings thrum, a chorus that worms into the ear. The swarm gathers like spilled ink, thick and hungry, tasting wood dust and damp heat. They want in. Paper fibers part with a soft tear, a mouth opening in the screen. The gap widens, edges curl, and the house exhales a tired draft that smells sour. Shelter is a lie when the walls start to bleed strangers. On the futon, someone sleeps, cheek-marked, breath shallow. Ants parade the blanket, beetles comb the hairline, a moth settles on the lip like a prayer. Tiny feet test the skin, ticklish at first, then suffocating as bodies pile. The taste of damp dust and insect powder creeping into the mouth. Throat tight, lashes tremble, a bead of cold sweat breaks and crawls to the ear. Would you wake and swat, or lie still and let them explore your throat? If the storm smothers every road, and the house smiles too wide, would you trust their warmth, or your pounding head? Could you survive their hospitality? Rain hisses under the eaves. Jial rubs their temples, mouth sour with last night. No signal, no ride home, only wet paper walls and a long corridor. A monk smiles, offering morning like a blessing. Jial asks about Asama, and hears he is still asleep. Careless of him, they murmur, and that thought chills more than the draft. The attendant needles them about drinking, playful and light. Shial gives a small grin, cheeks hot, a laugh that dies quickly. They start toward Asama, ready to wake him. A hooded priest glides in, voice soft as fog.
It is fine, let a drinker rest, he says, and the attendant echoes it, twice. Their smiles sit in shadow like leeches. Shial yields, but their gut tightens, and the hallway seems to breathe.
Rain drums steady. Something is off about those two, and the thought will not budge. Shial stops at the shoji, listens to the wet hush, and calls gently. Paper whispers as the door slides. Asama is already upright on the futon, eyes dull. Relief does not come.
His robe hangs loose, skin clammy. Shial wonders if it is a hangover, or something meaner creeping under the skin. A polite hello floats from outside, slicing the room like a thin knife. Asama's throat tightens, his mouth opens, and something wet crawls out. Pale grubs slither over his lip and drop in strings of spit. They land on the tatami with a sticky patter, each little body writhing for purchase. Shial flinches back, chest tight, tongue burning with bile.
Panic sharpens the air. Shial urges him to spit it out, get every crawling thing out. His body wobbles, sweat beads, eyes unfocused. Shial knew something was wrong. Call a hospital, their mind pleads. But the mountain road is a death wish in this weather. The phone shows no signal, a dead little mirror. Stay there, Shial says, voice shaking. I will find medicine, something to kill worms. Outside, the wind howls like a throat full of glass.
Where are those two?
Shial mutters, anger covering fear.
The house offers empty halls and wet light. No phone on the shelves, no help. A storage room waits, boxes stacked like mute witnesses. Forgive me, they breathe to the dust and yank drawers open. Wood rattles like teeth. No first aid, no medicine, no mercy. Maybe the next room. The door glides open and the dark breathes back. Excuse me, they whisper, as if courtesy could keep the monsters asleep.
Himura offers a final kindness, a cold benediction. Smile while you can. If 100 silent heads bowed in prayer turned to watch you, would you pray or run?
Shial slides the door open, her breath shivering as incense and cold wood crawl into her lungs. Rows sit unmoving, robes pooling like shadows. There should not be this many. Sweat gathers at her eye, a bead that will not fall. Her throat scratches, and a breath slips out, thin as a cut.
The truth tilts into view. These are not monks, not human, but abominations. Each bald crown blooms with cold, round eyes of different sizes. They do not move, yet the room already watches. The stray inside her chest wants to bolt. Could you survive that many pupils chewing at your nerves? She rips the painted door aside, wood rattling under her palm. A cold room sits beyond, empty as a dry well.
Her pulse hammers against the door rails, and she flinches at her own motion. A small sound slips out before she can swallow it.
She rubs a stinging eye and peers through a slit of butterflies. Am I seeing things? She wonders, and the words taste like dust. The gap stays quiet. The dark too patient. Her palm finds her forehead, heat battling chill, and nothing makes sense.
No way, she thinks. Maybe a fever is chewing her sight. If it is contagious, it will ride their lungs like a parasite.
She moves fast across the tatami, counting exits, struggling to quiet her breath.
A square mouth in the wood yawns open, and the stink swarms up. Bodies heap like wet firewood, wrists clasped as if prayer could stop decay. Eyes sink hollow, sores bloom, robes paste to skin. She remembers the chief priest insisting there were only 2 souls here. He lied, and the lie is stacked in front of her. A face lies canted in the crush, lips parted, whatever warmth long fled. Moths with eyes on their wings drink the salt of the skin. Their flutter whispers like dry leaves, patient and hungry. A pale worm tests the ear, and sweet rot floods Shial's throat. How do you kill a prayer that breeds inside flesh?
When a sick man vanishes, do you follow the larvae or the silence? The futon gapes like a mouth, still warm, already lying. Shial breathes through her teeth, calls for Mr. Asama as the air slides past the door. On the blanket, pale grubs writhe, slick and blind, mapping hunger. Wet motion whispers at the edge of hearing, and patience curdles into grit. She mutters that the bastard is troublesome, but her eyes keep counting the wrigglers. A dark butterfly blinks false eyes, testing a finger as if tasting a secret. Outside, a cicada scrapes the bark, a rasp like a bone saw in summer. Nature hums when rot stirs. She leans out under the eaves, pupils opening, and a small ah slips free. The hunt pulls her toward the veranda. Mr. Asama stands hollow, gaze pinned to the floor, rainlight shivering along the planks. Shial calls to him, asks if he is all right, reaching with her voice before her hands. He turns away, silence hard as lacquer, steps flowing down the corridor. Rain swells until it drowns her words, a steady hiss that eats distance. He slips through the sliding door, vanishing into the gloom. She shoulders the back door, muscles burning, wood grinding like teeth. She curses the weight and calls for Mr. Asama again, breath hitching. Beyond this barrier, something waits. She remembers the chief priest boasting that the back of the hall leads to the original deity's shrine. Priests love doors and secrets. Rain lashes the double doors, each drop a needle. The thought tightens in her throat. The shrine sits beyond, listening. She drags the panels along the track. The timber gives with a groan, and cold water freckles her sleeves. It finally opens, and relief stings like wind. It is strange. When Mr. Asama opened this, it moved like paper. Something holds it now, or held it for him. The gap exhales a cave, rock teeth framing a black throat. A breath moves in there, a long, low moan that tastes of stone and old rain. In the dark, a lighter blooms, a thin flame cupped like a prayer. It chews at the dark and starves at once. Light licks her knuckles, yet her feet vanish. She wonders how Mr. Asama walked through this, and the cave gives no answer. A wet body shifts somewhere ahead, not water, not wind. She freezes, a prayer bead of sweat slipping cold down her spine. The sound moves again, slow and patient, as if tasting her. Her grip tightens around the flame. How long could you cradle someone else's rot without screaming? Could you keep your hand open when the dark gives you back a human ear? The maggots do not hurry. They savor warmth and explore every crease. Your skin prickles, your stomach knots, and the void watches like a patient butcher. Zai snaps wide, breath slicing in. Sweat crawls from his hairline to his jaw, cold as a blade. The kid cannot swallow. His tongue tastes metal, and the dark tastes him back. Light trembles against his chest as the crowd blooms from the black. Not statues, not corpses. A crush of wasted bodies, lesions weeping, hands in prayer or hunger. They surge, whispering, teeth peeking from cracked lips. He stumbles and screams. The sound comes out ragged, like fabric tearing over bone. One of them clasps raw fingers, muttering through a ruined mouth. The words are pulp,
Spit strings, swords shine, and yet the rhythm is steady, a sermon for the damned.
He inches forward, lighter lowered, trying not to breathe their sweet rot. He whispers, people. His voice shakes. They are still alive. His pupils blow wide. His knuckles go bloodless around the flame. A memory trespasses, clean as a chapel. A woman in a veil, a simple man beside her, both smiling like the world never bit back. Mercy looks easier from daylight. Silence grips him. A bead of sweat falls like a prayer he does not finish. His lips tremble, but his jaw locks. He moves, lighter cupped, murals crawling along the stone. Tall shapes, stick families, insect shadows that feel too accurate. He murmurs, "I have to find Mr. Asama," and the cave swallows the vow. A doorway glares ahead, white as a wound that never clots. Light, he breathes, stepping toward it. Hope cuts, and so does escape. This has been Himura speaking. Do not be sad, and smile more often. If the light has no source, what hunts you in a place like this? Could you keep walking while the walls breathe like hives? Shio moves deeper, boots scraping grit, eyes tracking holes that swallow sound. The rock smells damp, the breath of old graves. Beads of sweat gather on his brow. His breath thins. He whispers that the glow has no source, yet it lingers like a fever. The holes resemble insect burrows, a city for flesh-eaters waiting to hatch. A dull impact thuds close by, and his spine tightens. At the tunnel mouth, a figure sits in prayer, small against the black. Sheol jerks, pupils pinned to needles, heartbeat drumming in his ears. Surprise tastes metallic on his tongue. He rushes in, voice cracking, shouting, "Mr. Asama." The name rebounds off stone like a warning. The teacher kneels with hands pressed, gaunt cheeks hollowing with each breath. Prayer or trance, it holds him fast. From the pit, a voice shapes his name, cold and close. Sheol freezes mid-step, sweat chills his neck. His fingers twitch toward the pouch at his hip, then stop. The cave listens with him. He props the teacher by the shoulder, whispering, "Manako." The opening stares back, a perfect eye that refuses to blink. Silence spreads, thick as oil. A face blooms in the dark like mold, and it greets the boy by name. "We want only Mr. Asama."
Want, the word scrapes his throat as he edges closer, keeping the teacher within reach.
The mouth keeps talking, calling him ignorant, gagging on his stink.
It says Asama noticed them, that rot recognizes rot. Reconciliation, it promises, as if a hive could love. Its eyes shine like wet shells. Sheol forces a laugh that tastes like dust, then leans over the teacher, shielding him with a shoulder. His voice roughens into a snarl as he accuses them of puppeteering the man. That would explain the strange obedience, the hollow stare.
The answer seeps out, simple and obscene. We laid ourselves in him.
Shao flinches, words clot on his tongue. Something twitches beneath the cloth, small bodies learning a new home. He searches for air that does not taste like rot. Across the dark robed figures pray, beaks tipped up like hungry chicks. Their skin shows pits and nests, patterns of feeding. A quiet hum grinds like teeth.
Maggots braid across a cheek, tasting salt and fear. A whisper names the we, the crawling multitudes. The preacher croons that they will not kill him. Better for everyone if death stops, while the bugs eat the living slow. From that void, confession spills. Every dying insect, every withered flower, taught it a lesson it hated. Someday it would fade the same way. And the thought gnawed like a rat. One self, one life, it murmurs, and despair rises like bile. Does that fear make you want to cry? It could not bear that truth for long. Something had to break. But a change came. Larvae writhe in its eyes, a pale ribbon licks its tongue, and its hair lifts in ecstasy. It claims itself multiplied beyond counting, and the fear vanished. It thanks the mother for the gift. So I ask you,
Would you trade your flesh to escape dying and let abominations wear your name? Smile, and something hungry might smile back. If mercy wore a mask of stolen faces, would you bow to it or fight until your lungs burn dry? Cold rock presses in, damp and bitter. Two survivors brace each other as the giant hangs above, legs ticking like chitin on glass. Thank you for granting me peace of mind, a calm voice murmurs, a lullaby poured into a nest of teeth. Guts not. One hand stays on a trembling back, the last warmth left in this pit.
I can never be like the mother. No matter how I copy her breathing, her birthing, her smile, the zealot whispers. Life thins with time, like a candle drowning in its own wax. Our flame will die at this pace, so we multiply now. Stone saints bristle with arms, shadows cut deep, and the air tastes of incense dust and old bone.
Shial jolts. Pupils bloom wide. Sweat crawls along his jaw. Breath snags. His hand claws at his chest for courage. He opens his mouth, but his tongue hangs heavy, wet ash glued to his teeth.
Clawed hands reach, a voice soft and cruel. Please, Shial, give us Mr. Asama.
That tenderness is a knife pressing in. Hunger thrums behind the plea like wings in a coffin. Could you trade a friend to feed a dying hive, or let the bastards tear you apart? Let them devour you alive.
Choose fast before hope dries out. This is Himura speaking. Do not be sad. Smile more often. How much blood would you trade to keep one promise?
Breath tastes like wet stone. Sweat crawls along his jaw. Shiel swallows panic and keeps moving. Could you survive?
He hitches Mr. Asama higher, cloth biting his skin. Sandals scrape on slick rock. Behind them, a herd of faces clatters, thin legs tapping like teeth. A skull of many mouths weeps. It coos that they are friends, then it turns and calls Shiel cruel. Tears patter in the dark like earth falling on a coffin. The buzzing swells, fat and hungry. The choir asks if he would mourn their death. His lips part. The word sticks like ash on his tongue. Under the arch, he totters, chest burning. Memory intrudes. The loud kid points. The lady smiles like a blade. Their comfort feels thin and far away. His pupils tighten, sweat beads at his temple. Emaciated heads gather, cheekbones sharp, breath stinking of damp rot. The creatures press close, expecting him to kneel. He answers, even so. A ragged grunt slips free. I have to go back with Mr. Asama. Resolve cinches around pain, and he drives into the dark. Rain hammers the porch. We are outside, he exhales, clutching his burden. Doubt bites. Was that abomination really Menako? Why did you become this? Power hits like a battering ram of hornets. The air screams. The blast whips him off the boards, cloth tearing, ribs rattling. In the wash of rain, a single round eye watches. A voice crawls through the storm, gentle as a knife. Don't be sad. Smile more often. When a house breathes like a wounded beast and rain drowns your steps, could you drag a man while a black swarm tastes your fear? The nerd glances back, teeth clenched, corridor narrow, air slick, those flesh-eaters closing fast. They circle the old man, only him, peppering his skin like ash. Spirit sense? No, a stench that gnaws through the rain, sugar and bile on his stick, and the thought snaps into place. What did she mean about smell if he does not stink? Forget theories, move. He slings the old man's arm across his shoulders, fingers shaking, and stumbles past the threshold, breath burning, wooden frames flickering by. Inside, metal cans wait like dull grenades. He murmurs an apology, pops a tab, the strangled hiss becoming a geyser that slaps the old man with cold foam. He blinks through the drizzle on his face, hair pasted to skin, chest heaving. The beer chills him, but something fouler rises beneath the cold. He sniffs, curses at the stench, spits in Abusaki's name and growls, "What the hell did you do?" His gut knots. Sweat pours, pupils pinned to needles, palms slick. The body knows before the mind does. He gags hard, jaw unhinging, and vomits pale segmented things. Worms slap the tatami,
writhing in the runoff while saliva strings and tears shake loose. A dark stink blooms as the parasites twitch and die. The nerd grins like a fanatic, laughs, swearing he knew it. Alcohol and salt, the oldest tools of exorcism and disinfection, force the parasites out.
Cover yourself with every can, he orders. Soak the skin, let it burn. Drink one as insurance. Let the bitterness scour your throat and gut. Smile if you can, because in houses like this, hope is just another flavor for the dark.
On a night that chews through headlights, what keeps you alive? A charm or a belt? Could you steer when the road moves like a river? Could you outrun what hunts in the rain? The engine growls, the storm answers, and the dark grins wide. Could you survive? Fangs leans in, pupils sharp, and snaps, belts tight. He traces 9 cuts in the air as if old letters could bully fate. The driver curses the weather, knuckles bone white on the wheel. He swears he did not drink, a sober joke in a drowning night. The tires bite, slip, and scream as water lifts the car like a coffin lid. Weight slams sideways, glass rattles and rain claws the mirror, a blinding sheet of silver. Grip returns in ragged pulses, each one a coin toss with death.
In the mirror shapes stitch the night together, pointed wings needling the rain. They are on us, Fangs breathes. Even in this hell, the swarm moves like hunger, quick and certain. Harutaka drags the sedan through a curve, water blasting off the tires. "I cannot go any faster," he yells, the wheel kicking in his hands. A deep impact rolls through the mountain, and the cabin shudders like a ribcage under a punch. A lonely sign blinks through the sheets, 200 meters. That sound is not thunder. His throat dries, pupils blown wide, and dread writes its answer across both faces. The cliff rips a roar from its gut, stone and mud charging the road. Headlights carve a slick arc, the sedan drifting past the first rush. Something small, stamped with marks, tumbles by the edge, snatched by the dark. Rocks spit across the lanes, and the bumper kisses gravel. They thread the gap by a heartbeat, breath burning, shoulders locked. Close, too damn close. Harutaka watches the mirror, rain webbing his lashes, and guesses the abominations got buried in the slide. Blessing in disguise, or dumb luck, he mutters, not believing either. Go where the people are, Fangs urges, voice low, breath hitching. A crowd is cover.
Those flesh-eaters in the mountain will not give a warning before the next bite.
The hospital rises out of the gray clean glass and bleach over old fear. Sanctuary or trap, it is always a wager. Choose fast.
How many times can you gamble on the safe light before it turns on you? He clamps the discharge papers in a damp fist, says his gut is wrecked, everything else fine. The girl with glasses exhales hard, grip easing on the strap. The reception hums, bleach stings the air, rain-soaked cloth chills their skin. They sit with space between them, apology hanging like fog. He blames himself for dragging her here. She flicks it away, calls the mess hers. Their hands do the talking, knuckles drained, nails fretting the fabric, a nervous tremor running through. He lowers his voice, says he asked a classmate about Manako. The name is a splinter, working deeper, drawing old blood. 1 year earlier, a bedroom swallowed its owner. Sheets gone black with clotted shine, a pillow starred by impact, flesh torn ragged, an arm cratered, fibers glued to meat. Something hungry lived there, and it devoured, not once, but until the room fell quiet. Whatever wore her face in the mountains is not Manako. That abomination mimics, it feeds, it learns your scent. Hope dies quicker than bodies. She nudges her glasses up, lenses fogging, breaths short. She mutters that she was stupid, a friend who missed the rot at the root. Her fingers shake, jaw tight. Guilt tastes metallic, and it never lets go. A name surfaces, Inabusaki. It sits on his tongue like rust, like old salt. A direction, or a dare. She asks for the photos. Voice steady, eyes wet. This time she wants a real article. That temple's monster insect exorcism. The right way to use purifying sake. She swears she will make them pay. He studies her, all noise gone from his head. Weariness loosens, a small grim smile forming. Maybe this is how they hurt the bastards back.
A voice signs off, almost gentle. Do not be sad. Smile more often. The words scrape like a knife edge, and the room feels colder.
Could you keep a secret under a sky that bright? The reprimand hits like a slap. Idiot and all? Conceal it better. A calm voice answers, amused and dangerous. Someone like them would go there if the trail stays warm. The sun stares back, cruel and clean. Below, the Nandu crouch in the damp dark, holes pulsing like sick gills. Their breath smokes in the cold, fingers trembling, pupils dilated. One croaks the verdict. They escaped. The word crawls along stone and sticks to their teeth. They press together, spines scraping rock, counting bodies that feel like losses already. A whisper leaks through cracked lips. We are not enough. Knuckles whiten. Cold sweat beads. The cavern answers with a tired groan. Motion splits the stale air. It is quick and merciless. Something unseen finds soft holes, bites deep and twists. Words snap off in a wet grunt. A skull jerks sideways, teeth spraying. Another body whips through dust, meat slapping stone. The smell of iron blooms as the dark swallows the rest. In the wider hive, egg stink coats the tongue, heavy and sweet. The thin ones huddle under stone teeth, whispering about the mother. Not enough of us to devote, they murmur. We are. The thought hangs, shivering. How long until the mother notices? If truth wears a mask of faith, would you kneel, or rip it off and face what stares back? The heretic temple promises answers. It usually delivers bodies, incense, and rot clinging to the breath. Could you survive? The nerd thumbs through the old article, sweat beading along his temple. He calls it insane, a carnival of lies. His voice stays steady, yet his fingers tremble, smearing ink across the paper. Across from him, Asama watches like a judge weighing a sentence, eyes calm, verdict cold. Asama does not sell belief, only motion. You do not need to believe, he says. You need to move. The nerd exhales a dry scoff, a quiet blade of air. Pride is his shield, not faith. Knuckles pale against the page. The kid softens, calling the old man a friend of his aunt. He respects how the man treats the story like a loaded gun, heavy, finger away from the trigger. Asama grunts, a hard wall of sound that ends the warmth. Outside, the sun bleeds low, dragging long shadows across cracked pavement. Go home now, he orders. Night eats the curious. The kid asks to return, hunger burning behind the lenses. He wants more about the aunt, more than safe daylight allows. On the shelf, old frames hold frozen smiles and gaps, dust soft on the glass, the smell of old wood and time. He admits the kid's curiosity mirrors hers, a blessing and a warning wrapped in one tired breath. In time, the paper trail turns to ash and rumor. There is no Duorangi anywhere, not in any registry, not in any whisper that stays. But Nandu took a trip to a grotto shrine months before she died. The note swears the writer could not face the sight. Not yet. Could you walk into that grotto when the bugs start singing, when damp stone smells like a grave and the air tastes metallic? Bugs crawl through every margin of the mine, season be damned. Moths, a dragonfly, a centipede shadow, all orbit a sketch of an abomination. A many-faced thing on insect legs, pocked with mouths and empty eyes, hungry to be named. In the margins, a small, many-armed guardian stares, almost kind, almost real. Did someone copy the mother, or birth something new and wrong? It closes on lotus seeds like teeth, and the silence feels alive, pressing against the eardrums. A final scribble signed Himura reads, "Do not be sad, smile more often." The ink shakes, the smile does not.